I am sitting back watching these protests all over the world and college campuses. Quite frankly, I'm more concerned about what's happening here in America because I live here, and this is not what I fought for. You have an entire party that has made their number one issue tolerance with their stupid coexist stickers on the back of Priuses all over the country. And now they're openly supporting a society that recognizes no one, none, zero. None of them have coexistence in those countries. And these are some of the most prestigious universities that are entertaining this. The place where people are supposed to be smart? I don't know. These are some of the same people who run the campaign here in America about saving democracy. There's only one democracy in the Middle East, and the same people here are protesting against it. It's maddening. I'm serious. I would be really interested to know why so many people here in America support terrorists. Like, college universities used to be this place of debate. That's what you went there for, the free exchange of ideas. Now people are chasing other students into buildings simply because they're Jewish. And to be clear, the people in support of Israel are just simply seeking the right to exist and not be rocketed by Hamas. People in support of Hamas are literally calling for the abolition of an entire nation. Like this guy right here, who is all masked up on a college campus, on Harvard campus, and him saying this, quote, this is his words, "They should all be exterminated, every single one of them, their kids, their mothers, their children, just like Hitler did." Whoa. The two sides, they're not equal here. Most of these universities are not saying that they're not going to, they're saying they're not going to restrict these protests because they like to hear all sides. Yeah, right. I bet 100% of universities would take a different position on that if any other group was being protested. This is the same fools that stand for all, all the territories are fine in that area and everybody can get along. They're rallying for that. And what's even crazier is if you took out the word Israeli or Jewish and put anything else in any other group in any of its place, Muslim, Hispanic, black, gay, any of these groups, the left, these protected groups, they would freak out. They would call you a racist, a bigot, whatever. Probably even use violence to intimidate you. There's actually a word for that, fascism. A way of organizing a society where a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of the people, when people are not allowed to disagree with the government. Also, it's people using force to impose a political agenda. Sound familiar? These people on these college campuses, they have no conviction other than what they're told. And they have been sold a bill of goods, and they've sworn allegiance to a party that will never deliver anything they promise. But they will somehow get some overeducated, whiny liberal to march down a road protesting in favor of giving up their own rights. We have become a society that traffics in grievances. And the left has convinced half the country that they're victims and that somehow the government is the only one, the Democratic Party of the government is the only one that can save them, using tragedy, conflict, and even fear to get what they want. This is precisely how people like Hitler came into power. It may not be popular for me to say on TV, but I'm going to say it anyway because these people need a history lesson. Hitler didn't take his first country by force. He was elected. In 1938, 99% of Austrians voted to join the German Reich. How did he get the support? Simple. Promised free stuff. Sound familiar? Now, the European economy was actually in the toilet. People were desperate. He didn't care if he could deliver any of this in the long run. He just needed power. Who else did that recently? Student loans. Sound familiar? Now, Hitler promised government jobs, free programs. Sound anything like what the American left is doing here? Once he got power, what was the first thing he did? Suppressed much of free speech, rights to demonstrate, all that stuff, except in favor of Nazi-approved causes, obviously. Now, does this sound anything like the lockdowns, when BLM could protest but pro-life groups couldn't? Because the Nazis were the National Socialist Party, and in socialism, you eventually run out of other people's money. So before that happened, he needed to censor speech. He needed to censor information that didn't support the narrative. Sound familiar? COVID. Next, firearm registration. Oh, you can keep those guns, but it's safer if we know who has them. Then once they knew who had them, they banned them. Does this sound familiar? Connecticut Democrats literally just did this. Don't tell me it's not happening. By the time people realized that it was happening, it was too late. Did you know that currently, today, despite all the information available, only 2/3 2/3, think about this, of college kids on campus don't know that 6 million Jewish people were killed in the Holocaust. This is like willful ignorance. And tyrants are capitalizing on this. People always wonder, how'd the Germans let this happen? Well, we just watched on an American college campus. Jewish students were chased and forced to lock down inside a building for fear of their own lives. We have people at American universities calling for the gassing of Jews. At least one protest here in America was someone was caught holding up a swastika. This is exactly how Hitler came to power, because people like that voted for him. And what's shocking is that there's not like a wide condemnation from the left on this. It took until today for the Biden White House to put out a half-hearted, limp statement like condemning anti-Semitism on college campuses. Think about this. Nearly every time this president stands up to give a speech, he talks about white supremacy being the #1 threat to America. He doesn't mention China buzzing our planes, Iran threatening to nuke Israel if they get one. Nothing about the close to 200 million radicalized Islamic fundamentalists. Nope. No. The craziest thing is this is coming from the same Democratic Party who called Donald Trump a Nazi. You wonder how Hitler got in power? This is how. What we're seeing right now is the exact evolution of a tyrannical government. And mark my words, if it goes much further, and I hope it doesn't, but if it does, all these useful idiots they're using now will cry, why didn't you warn us? You want your litmus test? Who would allow it and who would stand up to it for freedom? How'd you react during COVID? You go along with it? You fight for your freedom. Remember, these authoritarians wanted you locked in your homes for not injecting something into your body. Your body! Did you stand up to that? I know, I fought like hell to keep the masks off my kids too. Look in the mirror. Did you go along with it? Did you fight? This is not politically popular because they don't want it to be. They must shout down people like me and you, if you stood up for this, for warning about this stuff. Watch tomorrow. The social media warriors and whoever else, the headline will read, Carl Higbie compares the left to Nazis, ironically from the same people who called me a Nazi for supporting Donald Trump. Watch. The left's going to cry. But we're the sane ones. They're the violent extremists. Their version of justice. Not justice for all, justice for the mob. Those are the people holding the Democratic Party hostage, with a sitting vice president that bailed out those who burnt down $2 billion worth of our communities, yet locked up grandma who followed a crowd into the Capitol on January 6th, with police holding the doors open. But America is different. America was forged in conflict, not compliance. You may see this big cities and college campuses and all these protests there. That's not America. That's a perverted liberal utopian dream. It's not how America feels, and that's not why these groups, this is why they don't protest in rural America, because they know they won't try that in a small town. That might fly in the cities with progressive mayors and DAs, but not in the rest of America. When a bunch of Antifa clowns pour into Appalachia and the hills start singing country roads, you watch. Kamala Harris ain't going to be able to bail you out of that one. Because the average Antifa or BLM protester, Hamas sympathizer, whatever, will soil themselves in the rest of America. That's why no army has ever invaded us. Because they know you don't stand a chance of destroying our American values and our spirit. But this woke movement is about to poke the hornet's nest of people who just want to be left alone. We don't seek conflict. Us conservatives, we're peaceful. But do not mistake our tolerance and kindness for weakness.